Good morning, friends. Welcome to E-TARAGATHI, Education Digitalized. And today I welcome you all to the daily Hindu newspaper analysis of 28th August 2020. So, video dwara, E-TARAGATHI news podcast dwara, we shall be discussing the articles from the Hindu newspaper relevant for APPSC Group 1, APPSC Group 1, Group 2, UPSC, and other competitive examinations. సో న్యూస్ పేపర్లో వచ్చే ఆర్టికల్స్కి మీకు ఏవైతే పర్టినెంట్ ఆర్ రెలవెంట్ ఆర్టికల్స్ ఉన్నాయో మన కాంపిటేటివ్ ఎగ్జామినేషన్స్కి అవన్నీ ఒక చోటు ఇచ్చి అది మీకు కేర్ఫుల్లీ అనలైజ్ చేస్తూ అండ్ ఎక్కడైతే బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ లోపిస్తుందో బ్యాక్గ్రౌండ్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ చేకూరుస్తూ ఈ వీడియోలో మీకు ఇవ్వడం జరుగుతుంది. అండ్ దెర్ ఇస్ అ గ్రోయింగ్ సపోర్ట్ విచ్ వీ హెవ్ సీన్ అండ్ వీ హ్యావ్ క్రాస్డ్ 100 సబ్స్క్రైబర్స్ అండ్ మన టెలిగ్రామ్ ఛానల్లో కూడా మెనీ పీపుల్ ఆర్ రెస్పాండింగ్ విత్ ద ఆన్సర్ రైటింగ్. So thank you so much for the support and keep it going. And soon we shall also have live classes from E-TARAGATHI. And video lo kuda at the end we have the mains answer writing. So we have 2 questions, and once the video is finished you can write the 2 questions, and the questions are from today's articles itself. So it make a daily newspaper current affairs analysis and answer writing la meeku it will be finished. All right. So let us begin today's articles. The first article is basically the center is saying that RBI can bridge the GST gap. So yesterday we have seen chief ministers from 7 states CMs. They held a video conference including Sonia Gandhi, and they had a discussion on the federal issues, and one of the prominent federal issue was the GST gap. And the center has acknowledged that the states would face a GST revenue gap of 3 lakh crores this year as the economy has contracted. And COVID edaithe endo, it is an unforeseen act of God at center and Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman ji. At compensation cess collection edaithe undo, it will bridge only 22% of the gap, and remaining 2.35 lakh crore lo center said 97,000 crore was due to GST implementation. Okay, and if there are some issues following here, you can see here in more detail it's given. The slowdown edaithe COVID wala slowdown edaithe undo, it has pushed the GST and cess down over the last year, resulting in a 40% gap between compensation paid and cess collected. So you can see the GST revenue gap is about 3 lakh crores. So 3 lakh crores revenue gap avutundi GST valla, and cess collections dantlo is only 65,000 crore. 65,000 crore is due to the cess collection gap, and the remaining actual shortfall is the 2.35 lakh crore. And 2.35 lakh crore lo kuda 97,000 crore is due to the GST implementation. All right. So center is saying E 97,000 crore lo states have 2 options. A special window could be provided in consultation with RBI so that the states can get the 97,000 crore at a reasonable rate of interest and can be repaid after 5 years. Another option is the entire 97,000 crore GST kakunda entire 2.35 lakh crore can be met by borrowing by the states, and there are arrangements also with RBI and certain facilities could be provided. And the finance minister, she has also told that center would be willing to remove conditions around a further 0.5% relaxation in FRBM Act. Okay, so basically she stressed that we are facing an extraordinary situation, like this is an act of God which might even result in contraction of economy, and to what person we still don't know. And the GST Compensation Act edaithe undo 2017 lo adi it did not foresee this. So what is basically the GST Compensation Act? It is to guarantee any loss of revenue in the first 5 years of GST implementation until 2022 using levied on sin or luxury goods. So revenue gap ఇప్పుడు 3 lakh crores ఉంది. ఆ 3 lakh crores లో 65,000 crores a 2.35 lakh crore can be a type of compensation. And GST, మీరు GST గురించి మాట్లాడుతున్నారు కాబట్టి 97,000 crores by that, and that can be taken from RBI అంటున్నారు. Or the whole 2.35 lakh crore, they can be arrangements with center for borrowing. This is the gist of the article. This is the main headline. The next article is an important article under social issues. The Supreme Court has told, a 5-judge bench of the Supreme Court has told that states can subclassify the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe in central list to give a preferential treatment for the weakest of the weak. So there is a class struggle within the reserved class, and benefits of reservation are being usurped by few. So even SCs, STs lo, the court is saying there is a hierarchy sort of thing. Okay. ఇప్పుడు ఈ రిజర్వేషన్ బెనిఫిట్స్ ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో దే ఆర్ బీయింగ్ టేకెన్ అప్ బై ద ఎలీట్ అమాంగ్ ద రిజర్వ్ క్లాసెస్. సో రిజర్వేషన్ బెనిఫిట్స్ ఇక్కడితో అయిపోతున్నాయి. Now the Supreme Court is saying this should be trickled down to the weakest of the weak, reservation benefits. And this can be trickled down only if you can subcategorize. అంటే ఇప్పుడు నేను this is subcategorization. నేను ఎలా క్లాసిఫై చేశాను. ఇలాంటి subclassification can be done where the focus can be on trickling down and the weakest of the weak among the SC STs ni target చేసేటట్టు state can do. Right? This is the gist of the article. The state cannot be deprived of the power to take qualitative and quantitative differences between the different classes. And the important point is 2004 ఒక judgment ఉంది. ఆ court case లో in the EV Chennaiya case, the Chennaiya judgment held that state had held state to unilaterally make a class within a class of scheduled castes would amount to tinkering with the presidential list. Okay. And ఇది కూడా ఒక 5-judge bench. EV Chennaiya case also is also a 5-judge case. Right? And ఇప్పుడు వచ్చింది కూడా 5-judge case. So now the matter should be referred to a greater 7-judge bench. And there is more expansion, like Justice Arun Mishra, he has told that the citizens cannot be treated to be socially and educationally backward till perpetuity. So those who have come up must be excluded from the creamy layer. Okay. And the entire basket of fruits cannot be given to mighty at the cost under the guise of forming a homogeneous class. And you can see here, EV Chennaiya case lo annaru ki మీరు ఆ క్లాస్ మార్చిన అంటే షెడ్యూల్ కాస్ట్లో మళ్ళీ కాస్ట్ వేరేగా పెట్టినా దట్ విల్ బి అగైన్స్ ఆర్టికల్ 341 అండ్ 342. ఎందుకంటే 341, 342లో ఉన్నది సెంట్రల్ లిస్ట్ వుడ్ బి నోటిఫైడ్ బై ప్రెసిడెంట్ అండ్ ద కన్సెంట్ ఆఫ్ పార్లమెంట్ ఇస్ రిక్వైర్డ్ టు ఎక్స్క్లూడ్ ఆర్ ఇంక్లూడ్ ద కాస్ట్ ఇన్ ద లిస్ట్. So basically the states cannot unilaterally add or pull out the caste. So initially the president has declared under 341, 342, and the parliament only can exclude or include castes. But E-judge bench, the Justice Mishra bench, they have told that subclassifications do not amount to tinkering with it. No caste is excluded. అంటే ఆ లిస్ట్లోనే ఉంటూ దానిలో సబ్క్లాసిఫికేషన్ చేస్తున్నారు. సో దాన్ని 341, 342 కింద రాదు అంటున్నారు. Okay, so this is a very qualitative sort of analysis, I felt, and you should, if there's a question, you should focus on the actual background of reservations ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో, reservations ఎందుకు ఇచ్చారు ఇండియాలో, and how they are being taken up by the elite. Okay, the first, this one. And then you can attempt the answer. Giving a affair, you can focus on the EV Chennaiya case and also in this constitution bench led by Justice Arun Mishra. So the next article we have it's basically about the NEET JEE pandemic, NEET JEE postponement, and it's also important. మన examinations ki UPSC and APPSC అసలు ఏమవుతాయి exams అని. So the education minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank, he has told that students wanted, the silent majority of students, they want NEET అంటున్నారు. As 17 lakh candidates had downloaded the admit cards in 24 hours. So, and he also told that students had been writing to him, the ministry and National Testing Agency, asking the exams to be held after they were postponed from April to July and then September. And the NTA director, he informed that 7.5 lakh candidates and 10 lakh candidates had downloaded their admit card. But I don't understand this logic of downloading admit cards. ఇప్పుడు అడ్మిట్ కార్డ్ ఒకటి వస్తే ద స్టూడెంట్ వుడ్ లాగిన్ అండ్ సీ వాట్ సెంటర్ ఎక్కడ పడిందో, అండ్ ఆబ్వియస్లీ అది కూడా ఒక టైప్ ఆఫ్ డౌన్లోడింగ్ అని వీళ్ళు చూస్తున్నారేమో, అండ్ అది డౌన్లోడ్ చేసి పెట్టుకుంటారు. దట్ ఈస్ అ హ్యూమన్ ఇన్స్టింక్ట్. సో ఐ డోంట్ అండర్స్టాండ్ దిస్ లాజిక్ ఆఫ్ డౌన్లోడింగ్ అనేది. హౌ ఇస్ ఇట్ agreeing with the NEET and JEE to be held? But anyway, and a related news is that the Supreme Court is scheduled to deliver its judgment on the validity of unilateral move by some states like Maharashtra and Delhi to cancel UGC exams. So today the judgment will be delivered. So I think tomorrow we can have a discussion on this. Basically the problem is Maharashtra and Delhi lanti states, they are saying that they will not conduct the UGC examinations. So if the states had an issue, they cannot change the exam schedule on their own. They should meet with the center and consult with the UGC about their apprehensions. And they are also giving options like they can take the exams online, offline or hybrid. And the court was hearing a batch of petitions filed over by 30 students represented by Alak Alok Srivastav. And he's the guy who's also behind the NEET case and also the UPSC postponement case. Ivanni, this guy is taking up. So he also already NEET JEE case lo students had kind of lost by Justice Arun Mishra. Let us see UGC case lo avutundo. Today the verdict would be delivered. Okay, the next important news is 5 members of Great Andaman tribe, they have tested positive. Okay. So Great Andaman tribe, it is a PVTG and they have been tested for COVID-19. So the Great Andamanis are one of the 5 PVTGs that reside in the Andaman archipelago, and this is one of the first cases of COVID-19. They have shifted all the 5 to isolation facility antunaru. 4 are male, 1 are female, and all such details are there. Like here some background is important. The Great Andamanis, who number just 74, they speak Jeru. The 5 PVTGs are basically Great Andamanese, Jaravas, Onges, Shonpen, North Sentinelese. These are the 5 PVTGs. You can see there is another tribe of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which are Nicobaris. Nicobaris are more developed than limb. They don't come under PVTG. They come under only the ST list. And the other 5 PVTGs, which you can see here, they are basically they are 5 PVTGs, right? You can see Great Andamanis, Jaravas, Onges, Shonpen, North Sentinelese. We shall have a background discussion on them shortly. And Onge tribe మీద కూర్చేశారు, and all of them have been tested negative. Similarly, the administration shifted the Jaravas to west coast of Jarava Tribal Reserve. And the Shonpen and the North Sentinelese, they live in isolation. They're difficult to reach out to contact. Great Andamanis lo they have tested. The Jaravas lo kuda they tested, all are negative. And Onges lo they have tested, all are negative. They are taking steps to shift the Jaravas, and Shonpens and North Sentinelese ఏవైతే ఉన్నారో they are completely isolated. వీళ్ళ పైన టెస్ట్ చేయట్లేదు. And you can see, as per the health bulletin, the number of cases in Andaman Nicobar has been 3,000 and number of deaths is 42. the officials of ANSI, the Anthropological Survey of India, they're saying we have to take the PVTGs are not only vulnerable because of the limited population, but also very close to each other. So humane manner lo we'll need the COVID-19 pandemic should be taken up regarding that. All right. So that is the gist of the news. The tribes of Andaman are very important. So the Andaman, basically it has four regions, as you know: North Andaman, Middle Andaman, South Andaman, and the Little Andaman. So the Great Andamanis, ఎవరికైతే ఇప్పుడు 5 cases వచ్చాయో, it is part of the North and Middle Andaman district. And fewer than 50 Great Andamanis are alive today. This is from previous this one, but presently there are 74 Andaman. They speak the Jeru language. And the next is the Jarawas. Jarawas, they are inhabited by the Jarawa tribes. There are 300 to 400 people of this community alive today. And the Onges, they live in the Little Andaman. Okay, and they are fewer than 100. And the Sentinelese, they live in the North Sentinel Island as part of North Andaman region. It is home to Sentinelese. Only 50 to 100 tribes are alive today. So last year, an American missionary who met the Sentinelese, he was killed. Some of you must be knowing. So they are actually, they're violent towards strangers and really isolated పెడుతున్నారు. Sentinelese and Shawmpens, both of them are isolated. Isolated ante not because of COVID, they're actually isolated in terms of anthropology. And apart from these, there are 9 Nicobar Islands that are home to the PVTGs. So broadly choose, this is the ultimate classification. There are 4 Negrito tribes: Great Andamanis, Onges, Jarawa, Sentinelese, and 2 Mongoloid, which are Shawmpen and Nicobaris. Alright. So quick revision: Great Andamanis, ipudu they have tested positive. Then Onges, all negative. Then Jarawas and Sentinelese. So వీళ్ళందరూ ఒక ఎత్తు అంటే they are basically they are come under the Negrito tribes. And the other 2 are Shawmpen and Nicobaris. These are basically Mongoloid. And these 5, they are PVTG. PVTG ante particularly vulnerable tribal groups. They are most vulnerable. There are 75 such PVTGs in India, and these 5 are PVTG in Andaman and Nicobar. Right? Nicobaris, they are STs. There are a lot of number of Nicobaris in thousands, so they come under STs. Alright, these are the tribes of Andaman. Last year kuda Sentinelese pen there was a question in UPSC, and regularly questions are asked about the tribal communities of Andaman and India in general. So you should be knowing a good idea about this. So now let us move on to the APPSC news. The first big news is that the High Court has extended status quo in the 3 capital case. Like yesterday we were waiting in judgment వస్తుందో. ఏం జడ్జ్మెంట్ ఇవ్వకుండా they extended the status quo till September 21st of the decentralization, inclusive development of all regions. The Didar Act and the CRDA Repeal Act. So ఇవి రెండింటి పైన status quo has been given. And also a counter affidavit on laying of foundation of government guest house at Kapulapadda in Visakhapatnam when status quo was in force. So 3-judge bench, J.K. Maheshwari, Chief Justice J.K. Maheshwari, Justices M. Satyanarayan Murthy, A.V. Seshasai, they expressed readiness to conduct physical hearing on daily basis and matter of 3 capitals after September 21st provided social distancing norm was taken up. So this is being shifting ముందు కూడా ఇది ముందు వాయిదా అయింది కేసు ఇవాళకి నిన్నటికి. This is second time this has been going on. So I don't understand why the judiciary is basically, I mean, I'm not in support of 3 capital or against 3 capital. We have to approach this issue from a civil servant point of view. But ఈ వాయిదా పద్ధతి ఏదైతే ఉందో ఈ స్టేటస్ కో ఇవ్వడం, there is, I don't know if it's a political gimmick or the judiciary, why it's giving a status quo. Even it went to the Supreme Court, we had seen, and Supreme Court told that the matter should be held by the High Court itself. So Supreme Court నుంచి కూడా కేసు తేల్చట్లేదు. సో ఏపీపీఎస్సి టైప్లో తయారైంది. ఏపీపీఎస్సి గ్రూప్ 1 ఎగ్జామినేషన్స్ ఎలా స్టేటస్ కో ఇస్తున్నారో హైకోర్ట్స్ ఫేవరెట్ favorite way of dealing with cases has become status quo, and we can see. Anyway, the next article. But let us hope on September 21st, a judgment would be given soon. And regardless of the judgment and the outcome of it, both of these are very important for the APPSC examinations. The decentralization, inclusive development of all regions, and the CRDA repeal acts. And now we have 2 articles relating to the governance, AP governance. Governance ante it can be used in GS3 of APPSC and also GS4 AP economy. Here, aqua sector lo, the Honorable Chief Minister Y.S. Jagannath Reddy has promised all the support to aquaculture and animal husbandry sectors in the state. So the CM, he has told that the government would ensure aqua exports they receive a fillip, and added that all the necessary support would be given to the pre-processing stage. So the government, it would link aqua processing units and cold storages to the Janata Bazaars evaithe unnayo daniki it will be linked. Similarly, the welfare of farmers have been priority, and government has spent 3,200 crore as part of the PSF, price stabilization, which we discussed. How it can save the farmers from clutches of middlemen. And Alanti PSF type of scheme, it would be launched for the aqua farmers. So aqua, dairy and milk farmers would be given support and ensure that they will be offered a good prices. So if there's part of the question aqua sector or agriculture రాస్తున్నప్పుడు, you should also focus on the allied sector. Allied sector is basically the animal husbandry, and దీంట్లో పాటుగా fisheries can be mentioned. Fisheries and how the state government would take links of aqua processing center and cold storages, and అదే విధంగా price stabilization fund అది aqua farmers కూడా ఇవ్వడం జరుగుతుంది. ఇలాంటి steps you can mention. And the CM has asked officials to take suggestions from Amul Dairy over procurement. And as we discussed on 21st August, I think, as part of YSR Asara scheme, 90 lakh women were getting benefited, and asked the officials to tie up with the banks. So YSR Asara, Dwakaras and SHGs ela link avutunayi, vaatipena it can be done antunaru. So we have seen here the PSF scheme, Janta Bazaars and Aqua. Similarly, here explaining the Nadu Nedu scheme, the CM has told that it was unfortunate that the quality education remained out of reach of people, and the government would change the GER, gross enrollment ratio. And health sector lo, government sanctioned 16 new teaching hospitals, which would take it to the 25 number teaching hospitals. Agriculture lo, 10,000 RBKs and ensured all the supplies were delivered at the doorstep of farmers. And there is also an e-cropping system, which is highlighted prominently in the economic survey this year. So a e-cropping system to farmers in accessing insurance antunaru. The government also gave wide publicity to the MSP by putting up posters of at the RBKs. RBK ante basically Raitu Bharosa Kendra. Even they are place in the Raitu Bharosa. సో ఫార్మర్స్కి రైతు భరోసా కేంద్ర అంటున్నారు. ఎడ్యుకేషన్కి నాడు నేడు స్కీమ్ గురించి ఇట్ హస్ బిన్ టాక్డ్. So basically, these are in news. This is the role of current affairs. They'll tell you what are in news so that you can focus on them well when you're studying. And an e-marketing platform has been established to advise the farmers, and soon the government would build cold storage and ensure value addition. Okay, so ivanni steps valla there would be overall welfare to the people of the state. That's it. So please keep in mind the aqua sector and linking it to the Janta Bazaars. అలాగే వైఎస్ఆర్ ఆసరా నుంచి ఎలాగైతే విమెన్ టైప్ అవుతున్నారో బ్యాంక్స్ను, అక్కడ ఈవెన్ డైరీ సెక్టర్ కెన్ బి టేకెన్ అప్ ప్రామినెంట్లీ. సిమిలర్లీ నాడు నేడు స్కీమ్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్లో ఇట్ విల్ మేక్ చేంజ్ అండ్ టీచింగ్ హాస్పిటల్స్ హ్యావ్ బెన్ ఇంక్రీస్డ్. అండ్ రైతు భరోసా కేంద్రాస్లో ఈ క్రాపింగ్ ప్యాటర్న్, ఈ క్రాపింగ్ సిస్టమ్ అండ్ ఈ మార్కెటింగ్ హ్యాస్ బిన్ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్డ్. ఎంఎస్పి ఇస్తున్నారు. ఓకే, and another news basically for APPSC and even maybe for UPSC also it can be asked, but I feel it's more of a regional news. The director of GVP SIRC, which is Scientific and Industrial Research Center and GVP College of Engineering, they developed an indigenous photonic system for real-time remote monitoring of air quality in association with the VIT University and another School of Electrical Engineering of VIT University. So air quality monitor చేస్తుంది, and this is an indigenous system. So it is equipped with application of laser back scattering, statistical mechanics, artificial intelligence, and this is important, air unique quality monitoring. Okay, the air unique quality monitoring AUM is a unique system capable of identification, classification, and quantification of various pollutants with very high precision and sensitivity. This is successful during lab trials antunaru, and it was demonstrated even imported systems in France and Australia antunaru. So the important part is the indigenous photonic real-time remote monitoring and developed in Andhra Pradesh, and it would use AUM, air unique quality monitoring. Moving on to the national news. Today I didn't find any important editorials. They are basically on the conduct of judges, and another one on the Pakistan JEM ఏదైతే ఫైల్ చేశారు, which we discussed a few days back. The editorial basically delves on that, and NEET JEE protest, which has become very political. So I feel there are no much editorials, so we'll be going directly to the national news. So COVID-19 ఏదైతే, which was considered viral pneumonia and detected 8 months ago, is now a multi-systemic disease. అంటే many extra pulmonary manifestations ఉన్నాయని doctors have been saying. So it is not only if it is, if there's a question in examination saying that it is only, or only pulmonary. Pulmonary ante, this would be wrong. Okay, so it is a extra pulmonary manifestations kuda unnai. So while pulmonary manifestations are dominant, we are now getting many patients with other symptoms. Like you can see, high index of suspicion while isolation lo unnaru. Here, the most significant and life-threatening symptoms are clot formation, which can affect the brain, limbs, and other parts of body, heart dysfunction, irregular heartbeat, autoimmune disorder, inflammation of blood vessels. So ilanti issues kuda vastunayi antunaru. Okay, this is the viral tracker. Every day the update avutundi, and 77,000 track in on Thursday cases, and the total amount has gone up to 33 lakh, and 1,000 new deaths have been reported. So the situation is widely rising if you see on a nationwide, but in many cases like West Bengal or Kerala, they're trying to get a sort of plateau. Tamil Nadu. Okay. The next article we have is basically on the defense sector. So it's useful even APPSC law. We have direct, it's been mentioned, the role of DRDO. And GS Philo, this prominently mentioned indigenization. Indigenization of technology. So రెండు parts-లో these two articles can be used. This especially I found is a very important article. But first we should see Russia is hopeful of concluding contracts for MiG-29 and Su-30 MKI and 6 Ka-31 helicopters by the year end. So MiG-29 and Sukhoi 30 and the Ka-31 helicopters. These three from Russia they're trying to get. Ongoing Army 2020 Expo అవుతుంది. And our Expo-లో this has been told. And we are aware that the Indian government has allocated additional funds for procurement of batches of MiG-29 and Sukhoi jets and Ka-31. And you can see here, the Defense Acquisition Council approved procurement of 21 MiGs along with 59 MiGs estimated, along with the upgrade of 59 MiGs estimated 7,000 crores. And S-400 deal, S-400 basically the tanks ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో ఆ డీల్లో representative said that the first batch of S-400 was technically impossible as they were objective technology related stages and acceptance. But there is possibility to earlier ones of S-400. And order portfolio $15 billion ఉంది. And deal for production of AK-203 assault rifles through joint venture is also on. And the deals could see some progress during visit of Russian President Vladimir Putin to India later this year for the annual bilateral summit. So generally, and this is the 20th year of India-Russia strategic partnership. Generally, India-Russia bilateral partnership December-లో అవుతాయి. November-December-లో there are meets. And year when Vladimir Putin would be visiting India, there would be a change అంటున్నారు. So you should just remember here in this article MiG-29 అలాగే Su-30 MKI which are the fighter jets. Then we have Ka-31 choppers. Then S-400 tanks. And lastly, AK-203 rifles. These are the important points. And this article basically is on the indigenization of technology. Now, the Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he highlighted self-reliance in defense manufacturing, OFP corporatization. So India has the capability of becoming a reliable weapon supplier to friendly nations, and it will consolidate the position as net security provider in Indian Ocean. And he also highlighted the Atmanirbharta in defense manufacturing at a webinar. So for the first time, 74% FDI in defense is allowed through automatic route. And we are going forward with corporatization of the OFP. So Ordnance Factory Board ఏదైతే ఉందో దాన్ని corporate style-లో it would be held, and 74% FDI is allowed through automatic route. And there are series of measures announced to boost domestic defense manufacturing, like simplified licensing field, level playing field, simplifying exports. All of these have been taken. And the Prime Minister, he also pointed out that India has been a major defense importer for many years. So post-independence, there was a lot of capability of defense manufacturing, but it did not get the attention. And Defense Minister Rajnath Singh said corporatization of OFB will be done within a year. So we have earmarked a portion of our defense budget. It will be 52,000 crore. And recently, the government also issued a draft Defense Production and Export Promotion Policy 2020 for public feedback for achieving manufacturing turnover of $25 billion or 1,75,000 crore, including exports of $5 billion in aerospace and defense goods by 2025. And the Prime Minister also told that the government has undertaken reforms in intellectual property, taxation, insolvency, bankruptcy, and even space and atomic energy. And for foreign OEMs, producing in India would be the best option. That is the reason why 74% FDI is being allowed automatically. And defense infrastructure చూస్తే work on 2 defense industrial corridors is already underway in UP and Tamil Nadu, and target of 20,000 crore investment has been set up. And on the list of 101 items, negative import list announced recently, Modi said that, Mr. Modi, he had told that the items would be reserved for domestic industry and would be expanded in future. So there is a నెగటివ్ ఇంపోర్ట్ లిస్ట్ ఆల్సో, అంటే ఈ ఐటమ్స్ మనం బయట నుంచి తేకూడదు, మనమే ప్రొడ్యూస్ చేయాలి. అండ్ జనరల్ రావత్ హీ ఆల్సో టోల్డ్ that they would come up with second list where more technologically advanced items would also be there. And if aerospace industry can find its feet, putting aerospace in negative list would be a big achievement. So I feel it's a golden article for indigenization of technology. There's a lot of material here. You should focus on how FDI 74% allow చేస్తున్నారు, and several steps are taken up. Simplified licensing field, level playing field, export simplify చేయడం, and OFPని కార్పొరేటైజ్ చేయడం. అలాగే డిఫెన్స్ ప్రొడక్షన్ అండ్ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ ప్రమోషన్ పాలసీలో మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చరింగ్ ఇండస్ట్రీ టర్న్ ఓవర్ ఆఫ్ $25 billion and export of $5 billion, and IP sectoral reforms have been taken up. Defense industrial corridors have been taken up in UP and Tamil Nadu, and most importantly the import substitution or basically negative import list ఉంది for domestic industry. దీనిలో 101 items are announced, and soon aerospace will also be announced. So if there's a question on indigenization, I feel directly you can reproduce this article in its entirety. Okay, the last article for today is part of the economy article. The business communities of India and ASEAN, they should work to resolve their differences, remove non-tariff barriers, and ensure sanctity of rules of origin and open markets. దీంతో they can be two-way trade. So non-tariff barriers అంటే మీకు తెలుసు, basically for barriers అంటే ట్రేడ్ చేసేటప్పుడు there are two types of barriers. One are the tariff barriers, other are the non-tariff barriers. Tariff barrier అంటే ఇంపోర్ట్ డ్యూటీ, కస్టమ్ డ్యూటీ ఇవి ఎక్కువ పెట్టడం, సో దట్ the import are not there properly. And the second is the non-tariff barrier, like we have seen something like a negative list petadam, or sanitary and phytosanitary measures, ante basically if it's not rejecting a product from India saying that it has not been following a standard SOP or hygiene procedures, EUలో ఎలా చేస్తారు, those are non-tariff barriers, and both of these are barriers to trade under the WTO. So NTBలో తగ్గియాలి ASEAN tradeలో. Similarly, another word is there, rules of origin. Now basically what happens in ASEAN trade is many products from China, they are rerouted through ASEAN. అంటే చైనీస్లో ప్రొడ్యూస్ అయింది అనుకుంటా ప్రోడక్ట్, అది కాంబోడియా వెళ్ళి కాంబోడియాలో దాని ఆ ప్రోడక్ట్ కవర్, ఒక మొబైల్ ఫోనే అనుకోండి, మొబైల్ ఫోన్ ఉంది, దానికి జస్ట్ బ్యాక్ కేస్ లేదు. సో ఆ బ్యాక్ కేస్ పెట్టి ఇట్ ఈస్ బీయింగ్ యాడెడ్ టు ద నార్మల్ ప్రోడక్ట్, అంటే దాని part of the product, and then it would be sold as if it's a Cambodia product. సో దీని మీరు రూల్ ఆఫ్ ఆరిజిన్ చూస్తే యాక్చువల్లీ ఇట్ ఇస్ చైనా, బికాస్ మొబైల్ ఫోన్ ఇంపార్టెంట్, జస్ట్ దాని బ్యాక్ కేస్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ కాదు. బ్యాక్ కేస్ అంటే ఐమ్ సేయింగ్ ఇట్స్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద ఫోన్, నాట్ ద అదర్ బ్యాక్ కేస్ విచ్ యూ పుట్ ఆఫ్టర్ బయింగ్. ఆ ఫోన్ కొనే బ్యాక్ కవరే విచ్ ఇస్ మేడ్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద ఫోన్, అది ప్రొడ్యూస్ అవుతాయి కంబోడియాలో. సో ఇలాంటి థింగ్స్ హ్యాపెన్ ఇన్ రూల్స్ ఆఫ్ ఆరిజిన్. అండ్ ఓపెన్ మార్కెట్స్ ఉండాలి. సో రీసెంట్లీ ఆసియాన్ ఇండియా బిజినెస్ కౌన్సిల్ అయింది. దానిలో మిస్టర్ గోయల్ హెస్ టోల్డ్ దట్ బోత్ సైడ్స్ నీడ్ టు వర్క్ టుగెదర్ ఫర్ ఫర్దరింగ్ ద రిలేషన్షిప్ as two-way trade was witnessing sign of decline. $81 billion ఉండేది, it has become $77 billion. So this is 5% degrowth. So India and ASEAN have not been able to harness full trade potential, and we should expand the trade, address concerns, and it is important that businesses on both sides resolve differences, work to create a more valuable and regional value chain, remove non-tariff barrier and rules of origin and such other things. And this article, the important point is what is exactly ASEAN. ASEAN, as most of you would be knowing, it is a regional organization established to promote political and social stability amid rising concerns of Asia Pacific's post-colonial states. So the motto is one vision, one identity, one community. In Secretariat, Jakarta, Indonesia. It was established in 1967. ASEAN Declaration signed చేశారు, which is also called Bangkok Declaration, Bangkok Declaration, and by its founding fathers. And the chairmanship, it rotates annually in alphabetical order. And the highest summit is the ASEAN Summit. At the highest authority, the summit sets direction for ASEAN policies and objectives. And it meets twice a year. So this is static knowledge regarding ASEAN. But for the examination, you should be thorough with the member states of ASEAN. What are the member states of ASEAN? Now you can see in this on the map, we have Myanmar and Vietnam. Both are two edges. Madhyalo we have the landlocked Laos. Laos L for landlocked and Gutpetkoch. Okay, Laos, and then kinda V. Vietnam is very famous. I'm sure Vietnam you must be knowing. It has a coast also. It's below Laos. So Myanmar and sorry, this is Cambodia. Sorry, Myanmar, Cambodia, Myanmar, Vietnam, and Cambodia. These you should remember. NVC. Okay. Vietnam, North Vietnam and South Vietnam. During the US-Vietnam War, they were unified. So Vietnam, I'm sure you would be knowing. This is Cambodia, below Laos. And generally, these countries are famous because of their slightly underdeveloped nature, and they are called as CMLV countries. So generally, even when you read news, they can be directly mentioned CMLV countries. These should be very important to you. And the famous Myanmar and Vietnam are famous. So in this order, you can remember. Okay. Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam. A type of clockwise కింద నుంచి స్టార్ట్ చేస్తే Cambodia నుంచి Myanmar, then Laos and Vietnam. Fine. And మధ్యలో we have Thailand. Thailand is very famous. It is longest country, and this is in between Myanmar and Laos. Then below Thailand we have Malaysia, and Malaysia ki tiplo there is Singapore, which is most famous. I'm sure most of you are knowing, the island nation. Then there is Indonesia, the biggest in the ASEAN, and Brunei Darussalam kuda, it's part of ASEAN. And the last is Philippines. It's separate country. I mean, in terms of mapping. So I hope the mapping you can remember it. CMLV మీరు ఎప్పుడు గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి, ఇది క్లాక్ వైజ్ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవచ్చు. Cambodia, Myanmar, Laos and Vietnam, CMLV. And between Myanmar and Laos, we have Thailand. Myanmar and Laos మధ్యలో Thailand గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవచ్చు. And Thailand kinda there is Malaysia, which is very famous. So TM, trademark. CMLV, trademark. And then కింద Singapore. Singapore అయితే you should remember definitely. It's below Malaysia. It's the most famous of the ASEAN states. Then Indonesia and Philippines have this separate existence. And Brunei Darussalam, ఒక చిన్న country, also is part of ASEAN. All right. Next is, we should discuss the main questions for today. Is there a case for sub-categorization among SCs, STs? SCs and SCSTs. Examine how the move will help in inclusive development. So this is the second article which we discussed, and you should give a background. Ippudu Justice Arun Mishra Constitution bench lo em ruling icharu that it can be allowed. Alage EV Chinnaya case lo this is not allowed. And is there a case ante you should focus on the reservation benefits or the affirmative action and how it is mostly there's a trend of how elites are capturing it, elites capture of it, and అందుకనే weakest of the weak identify చేయాలి. And ilanti move will give inclusive development. You can draw a diagram of the subclasses within the SCSTs and how the elites are taking it up. The next is critically analyze the indigenization of defense sector. So this is the article which we have seen. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, what he had focused on defense sector indigenization steps enti. And you can also mention the role of DRDO and the various steps which we have taken, which we discussed at length basically, like 74% FDI ఇవ్వడం వల్ల how there can be technology transfer or import substitution ki there is a negative list. అలాగే డిఫెన్స్ ఇండస్ట్రియల్ కారిడార్స్, ఆల్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ షుడ్ బి మెన్షన్. అండ్ క్రిటికల్ యాంగిల్ ఏవైతే ఇవ్వాలి ఎలా అంటే ఇంత అవుతున్నా కూడా ద ప్రైవేట్ ప్లేయర్స్ ఆర్ నాట్ కమింగ్ అప్ ఆర్ దెర్ ఇస్ అ డిమాండ్ ఉన్న సప్లై గ్యాప్స్ ఉన్నాయి చాలా, ఆర్ ద క్వాలిటీ ఇస్ నాట్ బీయింగ్ మెట్, ఆర్ ద డిఆర్డిఓ రోల్, హౌ డిఆర్డిఓ ఇస్ ఇట్ ఇస్ బికమింగ్ అ వైట్ ఎలిఫెంట్. All such things you should focus on. So that is the end of our discussion today. And please write these answers. Like we have been getting, only very few people are writing the answers. So please write the answers and submit. It is a free mains answer writing initiative. Especially for preparing for 2021, this is a very good opportunity where you can get your answers checked. And other vidhanga with newspaper reading kuda, it will be very easily inculcated if you're writing answers on a daily basis. And trust me, it will work wonders. Like we have seen many students and many aspirants also who have improved. You cannot imagine the change which they improved by just reading the newspaper and writing answers. And ikkada writing answers, there's free evaluation also from E-TARAGATHI. So please make good use of this opportunity, and we shall meet tomorrow with the discussion on the 29th August. And by then, please like, share and subscribe to the channel, and share it to your friends also. Invite more people so that they can be a more positive boost, and so that we can conduct the live classes. And live classes cheyadaniki YouTube lo we need at least 1,000 subscribers, and for achieving that 1,000 subscribers we need your support. And thank you so much. Keep studying. All the best.